boiled eggs, and cooked peas. The McFarland family was a cheerful, if slightly quirky, bunch who lived in the small, sun-kissed village of Willowbrook. They were known for two things: their love for all things spicy and their complete, unshakable hatred for boiled eggs and cooked peas. Emma, the mother, had an aversion to the smell of eggs that made her gag. John, the father, couldn't stand the rubbery texture, claiming it reminded him of a deflated soccer ball. Billy and Sally, their two children, would both make dramatic faces at the mere suggestion of having boiled eggs or peas at dinner. What's the point of a food that looks like a pale yellow balloon and smells like a science experiment gone wrong? Billy would groan. And peas. Don't even get me started, Sally would add with a shudder. They're like little green rubber bullets in a sad, soggy stew. For years, they lived by a strict rule: no boiled eggs, no cooked peas, ever. They prided themselves on their adventurous taste buds, constantly trying out new dishes and flavors. But the uninvited appearance of these two hated foods always sparked an immediate, near-military operation of avoiding them at all costs. So, you can imagine the look of utter disbelief on their faces when one fine Saturday morning, there came a knock at their door. Who could that be? Emma asked, frowning as she wiped her hands on her apron. She opened the door to find their neighbor, Mrs. Farthington, standing on the doorstep, her arms laden with a massive basket. "Good morning, Emma." Mrs. Farthington greeted her with a wide smile. "I've brought you a little something. It's a surprise, but I think you'll find it quite delightful." Emma's eyebrows shot up. Mrs. Farthington was a lovely woman, but she did have a tendency to overdo things when it came to gifts. Last year, she had given them a set of hand-carved wooden spoons, one of which turned out to be a spoon that, in all honesty, looked more like a garden trowel. Still, Emma smiled politely, bracing herself for whatever the gift might be. Mrs. Farthington set the basket down on the doorstep with a flourish. "Ta-da! Boiled eggs and cooked peas. I've made a special batch just for you all. I thought it'd be a lovely change for the family." Emma blinked. Her mind raced. Boiled eggs? Peas? The very foods that had been banned in their household for years? She felt a slight wave of nausea rise in her stomach, but she fought it off with a smile. "Oh, how kind of you, Mrs. Farthington. But you know we're not really big fans of boiled eggs and peas." "Not a problem at all," Mrs. Farthington said, waving her hand dismissively. "I understand. It's not for everyone. But I made them with a secret ingredient, a little twist that will make them absolutely irresistible. Just you wait. You'll be begging for more." Emma forced a smile. "That's so thoughtful. Thank you." John, who had appeared at the door, took one look at the basket and immediately recoiled, his face going pale. "Boiled eggs?" he asked, horrified. "And cooked peas? You've got to be joking." Billy and Sally, who had been lurking nearby, saw the basket and groaned in unison. "Oh no," Billy muttered. "We're not eating those." Sally crossed her arms. "Seriously, Mom? Why would you even?" But Mrs. Farthington wasn't giving up that easily. She beamed, oblivious to their discomfort. "You'll see. Just try them when the mood strikes. I promise it'll be a treat. And don't forget the special twist. It's magic, I tell you." "I'll leave you to it then. Enjoy." And with that, she turned and left, her heavy basket of boiled eggs and peas left behind as if it were a gift from the heavens. As Emma stared at the basket of doom, she sighed. "Well, we've got them now. Might as well stick them in the fridge." John, who had gone back inside to fetch a cup of tea, looked out the window. "It's such a lovely day. I bet nothing will go wrong," he said optimistically. As if on cue, the lights flickered once, then twice, and then everything went dark. The house was plunged into complete and utter silence. "What the?" Billy gasped, looking around as the room plunged into darkness. "The power's out?" Sally groaned. "Great. Just when we're about to watch a movie." John grumbled as he stood up and walked over to the window, peering out. "It's not just our house. It's the whole village. I can see the whole place is dark." Emma let out a deep sigh. "It's the summer solstice. How could the power go out today of all days?" No air conditioning, no lights, and no movie night. What a disaster. Billy, ever the resourceful one, started pacing. We can still have fun. We'll play a game. But wait, how do we play a game without the lights on? Don't forget the Wi-Fi, Sally said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. You know, the thing we all live for? How will we survive without Netflix? John rubbed his temples. Okay, let's not panic. We've got plenty of candles, right? It took a moment for Emma to stop sighing and look over at the basket that Mrs. Farthington had left them. In a moment of resigned humor, she muttered, "Well, if we're stuck in the dark, at least we have a weird gift to eat." Billy groaned again. "We're not eating those boiled eggs and soggy peas, Mom. It's a disaster. It's worse than the power outage." Emma chuckled and reached for the basket. "Don't be so dramatic, Billy. You never know, we might discover something life-changing. You'll never know if you don't try them." And so, in the absence of light, Wi-Fi, and entertainment, the McFarlane family found themselves sitting around the table in the dark, facing down the basket of boiled eggs and cooked peas. John reached for the first boiled egg with suspicion, peeling it carefully, as if it might explode. He took a tentative bite, and then, his eyes widened. "Well, he muttered, looking at Emma with disbelief. It's actually pretty good." Emma stared at him in disbelief. "Wait, are you serious? You like it?" "Not sure if I like it," John replied, taking another bite. "But it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, the taste is interesting." Billy and Sally, who had been eyeing their plates warily, exchanged nervous glances. "It can't be that bad," Billy said, picking up a pea with the edge of his fork. "What's the twist, anyway?" Emma looked at the peas. They weren't just any peas, they looked different. They glistened in the dim light of their single candle. "I think I see what Mrs. Farthington meant. There's something about the seasoning. It's spicy." Sally cautiously took a forkful of peas. Her eyes widened. "Whoa, these are actually good? What did she put in them?" John nodded. "I don't know, but I think we've been wrong about boiled eggs and peas all along. There's something magical about these." Billy, ever the skeptic, took a hesitant bite. "Huh. Okay, I'm not going to lie. These peas are actually not terrible." Emma, who had been playing along with the family's reluctant taste test, couldn't help but grin. I guess Mrs. Farthington's twist really worked. Who knew? As they finished their surprise meal in the dark, laughing and talking, the power came back on just in time to save them from any further awkwardness. The lights flickered to life, the fans began to whirl, and the Wi-Fi buzzed back into action. But there was something different in the air. The McFarlane family had discovered a new respect for foods they had long shunned. Perhaps it was the unexpected twist Mrs. Farthington had added, or maybe it was just the fact that the power outage had forced them to slow down and really taste their food for once. "So," Emma said, standing up and collecting the plates. "Boiled eggs and peas, huh? Maybe they aren't so bad after all." John chuckled. "Well, maybe we don't have to swear off them forever. Maybe we could even look forward to them next time." Billy and Sally exchanged a look. "Let's not get carried away," Billy said, but even he had to admit, the meal wasn't nearly as bad as he had expected. And so, in a small village where power outages were rare but not unheard of, the McFarlane family learned two valuable lessons. One, that boiled eggs and peas could actually be quite delicious with a little creativity. And two, that sometimes the best discoveries happen when you're forced to slow down and taste the world around you, especially if that world involves a little surprise from your neighbor.